Hugh Hewitt. Welcome. My guest is Bret Baier. He is host of Special Report, which you'll watch tonight at 6 p.m. on the Fox News channel. And I have no idea what you and your producers are going to figure out, Bret, because you could lead with tariffs. You could lead with Mahoud Khalil. You could go with the Ukraine talk, Secretary Rubio and National Security Advisor Waltz coming out and saying that ceasefire has been offered by Ukraine. What are you going to go with?
Hey, you. We still have some time. A lot can happen. Actually, I think that the president's speech to the Business Roundtable is probably going to be newsworthy. He's already said some things that reflect about the economy, Canada backing off the threat of cutting electricity to some of those northern states. That was a big development today. And as you mentioned, the Ukraine developments in Saudi Arabia. My guess at this hour will probably be a double lead between the economy and the Ukraine developments, and we've got reporters on both.
Now, Bret, I began the day with Dana and Bill, and they threw up the early market. Then the market panicked at the open because of Rob Ford threatening to turn off the lights in Minnesota and New York. I said, I really don't pay any attention to this. If they pass the tax bill and get the extension done and they cut some stuff and they get back to the Trump economy of year 3 of term 1 by year 3 of term 2, even if there's a recession in between, I don't think you have to come to that, he'll be just fine and the country will be cooking and he'll have reshored some things. I think he's playing the long game and doesn't give a lick about a day up and a day down. What do you think?
I agree with you. I do think that there are some political strategists on the right who think pushing for the taxes as part of a bill first and like putting a lot of energy there before the reciprocal tariffs may have been a better progress, as far as what goes first. But I agree with you. He is playing the long game. He is talking much more about the economy overall in the long term, bringing companies back, bringing jobs back, and selling that is just you have to sell it in the middle of a very volatile market, and that does happen.
I had Admiral Mark Montgomery on yesterday, retired 2-star, just come back from Taiwan, and he made this point to me, which I hadn't really figured out, that the president of Taiwan, the vice president of Taiwan, and the secretary of defense of Taiwan cannot come to the United States without an international incident. But the chairman of Taiwan Semiconductors not only can come, he can come and put $100 billion into our country to build chips here. I missed the story entirely. That's a big deal, Bret. That's what I think the president's really playing for is car companies, chip companies, and steel companies.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it has happened. I mean, they have trickled in, and each one of these world leaders that comes to talk to him comes with some other investment or companies that are a part of their country bringing, a lot of business this way. So if you add all of that up, it starts to be real money over time. And in addition to DOGE and taking out waste, fraud, and abuse, I think they're adding up what they think will be a launch pad for taxes. When that actually gets through, that'll supercharge the economy. It's just a matter of getting there and convincing people to hold on if it's a little bumpy ride.
And letting Doug Burgum and Chris Wright turn the energy spigots on and get the small modular reactors built while regulations get cut. And it can't happen in a hurry, but it's happening pretty fast. Let's turn to the big story. I made the argument today that Khalil, the green card holder, he's an LPR, a legal permanent resident. He has all the protections of citizenship, except we can send you home for a variety of reasons. One, if you break the law. Number two, and this is what I think is going to happen, if the Secretary of State makes the determination that it is reasonable to conclude you're a damage to our national security and our foreign policy, we can give you the boot. It's actually, I don't know how you have a reviewable standard there. I think you have to defer to the Secretary of State. There's no standard of review set up in the statute. So I think Mr. Khalil is gone. But you've probably had a chance to talk to Jonathan or Andy in person. What are you hearing about the Khalil case?
Yeah, I think the statute's pretty clear. I mean, there is a lot of leeway in discretion of the Secretary of State. And so they can make the, one-to-one supporting Hamas, calling for violence, or supporting Hamas terrorist activities to to some end as being a detriment to U.S. national security. It's not a clear First Amendment case. I think it does have legal backing to make this move. That's not to say it doesn't cause controversy in ACLU corners.
I am surprised, though. I'm not surprised that Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar took to X. I am surprised that Senate Democrats posted support for free Khalil. And it's like, give them an 80-20 issue and they'll go for the 20 every time, Brett. And I don't know how they're going to break out of their cycle of the slow of despond until they figure out that there's some common sense things like people paying $75,000 a year for a kid to go to Columbia want the classes to actually happen. And they don't like supporting Hamas, which has held Idan Alexander now for 17 months. He's an American citizen.
Right. I mean, it's kind of cut and dry, one would think. And it's, it could be a 90-10 issue. When you read the posts of the rabbi on Columbia University saying to Jewish kids, do not show up here because it's too violent, that's a moment. And I think that most parents, most people who are paying for the tuition, there's not a thought about what that's going to result in as far as this guy getting kicked out. I think, listen, it's an interesting case. It's nuanced. The administration is taking an action that, even for them, is a bold action, but they're doing it.
And they're sending a message. I'm glad they went for the person with the most protection, not for the student visa. It's easier to throw out someone with a student visa. Violate the terms of the visa, you're gone. But an LPR, a green card holder, that's a legal permanent resident. And they're not easy to expel, but it is an unreviewable decision. And I don't believe the Supreme Court will back away from that. Brett, let me ask you, because you're getting up to the time when you have to decide whether you want your kid to go to Big State U or Ivy or go down the street where they're happy. Does the campus unrest come into your mind when you help think about advising your kids about where to go to college?
I leave that to him. Paul is my oldest. He's 17. We've started the tours, and we've been on some campuses that had some protests, but he asked the questions when we took the tours, and he has a level head on his shoulders. Do I think I would say to him, go someplace where this is happening all the time? I would probably look other places, which is why you're seeing this real resurgence of schools in the South that haven't had a lot of this issue. You're seeing a lot tougher admissions for places that have a different perspective.
I think young people want to go to college to go to class and have a college experience, and that's why they should go to the Ohio State University. Is Paul visiting Buckeye Land?
He's not. But who knows?
Oh.
Who knows? I could maybe get him interested. Get you on the phone with him.
Well, they got the Scarlet and the Gray chorus. They're better than the Blue and the Gold chorus, which are always covered with snow.
I know. I've played it. It's a great chorus.
So I'm telling you, make him into a Buckeye. He'll be happy. He'll have the Natty to start. He'll get 4 more. It'll be great. Bret Baier will be watching tonight at 6 p.m. Thank you for joining me as always. A pleasure to talk to you.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.